Today I am having a conversation with a highly sought after professional, Dr. Ehi. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good.
Hi,
Very nice to meet you.
good day. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you for joining me. I'm very excited
It's
to
great.
actually have you on today. And I want to believe you are as excited as I am too.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to be here. Haven't been here before, so it's nice to get the invite and come to your studio.
Yeah, thank you so much for honoring my invitation. Even with your very busy schedule, you still made out time for this. Highly appreciated. So let's get
Thank
right into it. Would like to meet you. Now, this is Dr. Ehi, and this is a tech podcast. So there has to be a very good connection. So do you walk us through your bio, please?
Okay, so Dr. Ehi is a versatile professional, transitioned from pharmacy into data engineering. Has over 3 years worth of experience, and in that 3 years, I've had the chance to work in diverse sector, from the healthcare sector to edutech to um, finance, marketing, e-commerce, travel. Pretty much working in different industries. So yeah, and it's nice to be here. It's nice to be here. So thank you.
That's great. That's amazing. I'm really happy. This is the first time that I am having to sit with a doctor on set that is also a tech professional, and I am very elated about that. So now that we already know that you are a first class pharmacist, which that you're able to also do a transitioning into the tech space, would like to know how all of this happened, because we already know your background is nowhere close to anything tech related. Health, tech, they're on two different sides. So would like to know, would you be kind enough to share your journey of transitioning from the pharmacist role to a data engineer role? Because you've mentioned that you've been in this role for a couple of years. So I'd like to hear from you. How's it been? How did it all happen? What changed?
Okay, no problem. Okay, so in actuality, my journey into tech began, I would say, a little close to 8 years ago. I didn't originally start out as a data engineer as I am today, and then I was actually still in pharmacy school. So I started out as a digital marketer. I went into digital marketing. I did that for close to 5 years, full time working. I've worked with different brands. I've come to work with over 800 different brands, from MSMEs to entrepreneurs to individuals to marketing persons. Uh, yeah, so I started out there. Uh, I worked with couple of companies. Then over time, I started seeing that there was this trend that was coming up, um, in the field of data, and when I saw and I saw the prospects about it, and I saw how AI was coming to change the world, I was like, wow, I think I have to jump on this bandwagon. So I joined. That was in I think 2021. I joined a program handled by Explore AI, a South African company that trained people in data. I took the assessments, passed, and I got like a grant. I think it was roughly about $10,000, I think, to study data engineering, and I did that for roughly close to a year. I did the academic training first. It was a diploma program. Then afterwards, I did an internship, and from there, the career took off. So yeah, that's pretty much how I transitioned into tech. I just when you the opportunity to want to scale up and decided to. I already fallen, mind you, while I was in pharmacy school, I already fallen head over heels for tech. I was pretty much shuffling. I was working as design marketers for brands, and I was doing pharmacy at the same time. So it's, let's just say, that backbone was already there from day one. So it was easy to now make that transition into pure coding and data. Yeah, that was my journey in a nutshell.
100. That's 100 because I want to believe that the fact that you actually have a health background would probably make a couple of persons be scared or maybe think it's really not possible to actually transition into the tech space. However, take a good look at how you started. That's fantastic. So, you've been in tech space for a couple of years now and you have seen and unseen. What skills,
Yeah.
what experiences from your medical background do you find most valuable in your current role as a data engineer? Because currently you are in taking the role of a data engineer, and that means that you would definitely have experiences that you know that from the health background they are kind of related. So, which skills, what experiences do you have that you believe are very connected?
As a pharmacist, you're trained to pretty much be more or less like a jack of all trades. You learn a lot of things from medicines to pretty much everything about the molecule of a drug. So I think, first things first, one of the first things that my training as a pharmacist helped was to build a solid backbone for adapt for accumulating high amounts of work, like a very strong, let's say, work ethics. Because then, in terms of courseworks, you have like a lot of things, a lot of information you had to consume, and you had limited time. You're learning high volumes of things. It's tough. So a very good retentive memory. Um, Maybe as I'm growing, it's not as great as it used to be back when I was in pharmacy school. But then I hardly forgot anything I read. Like, as long as I read it, I probably did not forget it, and I could read a lot, like go hours and hours of studying. So very strong work ethics, very strong retentive memory, which is also very important because as a data engineer, so you consume a lot of information. Learning of this tech stack. In some ways, data engineering and pharmacy can be very similar because data engineering, you're like the jack of all trades in the data field. You're required to know a lot of things about a lot of things. Um, yeah, so as I get to speak with patients like a lot, I communicate a lot. So communication is like super key, and one of the things that pharmacy they brought, my training as a pharmacist brought, was to be able to build a lot of communication with the patient, not just as a pharmacist, also as a marketer. Imagine you go into the wild world marketing, like half of the time the people you want to talk to, they even know about you. They don't want to listen to you, and you have to learn how to be able to convince them. So I think my background pretty much opened that world for me. As you get to work with people from different teams. So yeah, when I have this communication as a very important skill, it helps passing information, relating to people, meeting people at different points, pretty easy. So yeah, this how my background has helped shape my transition thus far.
That's really beautiful. I mean, who would have thought that the fact that you had to learn things with so much precision and make sure that a lot of things are going just fine would now still help you in transitioning into the data engineering role. And the good part about it is that having a career change of this sort can actually do so much good, so much good that you wouldn't even realize that you were in an industry that is very diverse from your current industry. So I think that's where learning something pretty well comes in, because let's say you sucked as a pharmacist, it would also translate to your role as a data engineer. But the fact that you were able to do so well in pharmacy also translated to your data engineering role. Your your response to that question was beautiful. Thank you so much for that concise and perfect explanation. So now that we know that the skills and experiences you had while in medical field also helped you a lot while transitioning. Would like to know, this is a new industry you came into. Pharmacy is a course that you'd have to take so much dedication and so much expertise to graduate as the top student in your class. So while you were transitioning to the data engineering role, were there any time you had a challenge that you faced during your transition journey into tech? Then, if there was a time like that, or if there are more than one time that happened, how exactly were you able to overcome them? Would like to have that response.
Okay, honestly, when I started my journey into data engineering, I kid you not, I think I tell these stories a lot. While I was in academy learning data engineering, at the time I wanted to just give up. I just wanted to just call it a quits. I called my facilitator at the time. Then I had the one-on-one with him, telling him I don't think I could continue. Like this thing is too hard. Like I'm coming from a healthcare background. Everyone on my team seems to already know what they are doing. I don't know what is happening.
I
I'll
know
be
what that
frank. Yeah,
feels like.
people see me now, see me coding, and they're like, "Oh, this guy, it feels like he knows this thing." Like I did not. I legitimately had to learn everything from scratch. No computer science background, nothing. I legitimately had to learn everything from scratch. Learn what Python is. Learn how what variables are. A little of things, and it wasn't funny at the beginning. Plus, at the time when I was in academy, I was doing my 1 year internship at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. So
Mhm.
I was working 8 to 4, and the days I'm on call, I'm working 4 to 8 to return 8 o'clock. So the days I work more than 24 hours, and every week I had Explore was a very rigorous program. Every week I had assessments to take. At the end of the month, I have a project to do a project that will be graded on. It wasn't funny actually. So these were my
Cannot
challenges.
even
So
imagine.
surviving the academy, it was tough. What helped me? Okay, I think one of the first things, speaking out, I spoke out when I had issues. I didn't just give up and just stop attending. I spoke out, talked about it. So my facilitators understood my situation and they were very patient with me. Then secondly, I had teams many a times, especially at least I stayed up until the point where and I started working on projects with teams. So I was really open with my teams. I know I couldn't be there all the time, so the little I could do, I could help, and they were able to pull me through. At some point when I was even like struggling in the academy, all my friends at the time, who were all data engineers like myself, and are data engineers now, they all helped me one point or another. Someone giving me this thing, someone sitting down to teach me this. Someone had to we had to like jump on Zoom
Oh,
meetings, Google meetings to like learn to like stay back and put me through so many things. There are times I could. There are times I actually was on course that I actually me the person being taught slept off on the call. So I think speaking out helped lots, and also that inner determination. You know why you want this. Like sometimes when I got tired and stressed, I would go to. I tell my students even these days when in fast in ten analysis, I tell my students then some things that encouraged me. When I wanted to pull out, I someone hinted me that why do you want to run away from data engineering? Don't you know they get paid more than data science? I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? I went to LinkedIn to check. When I saw the salary, I was motivated. So anytime I wanted to pull out, anytime I wanted to pull out, I just go there and I see the salary. I'm like, so you mean one day I could actually end this? Nah, we die here. We're going here. We're not going anywhere.
that's so cute.
So that was how I was able to just look for every mean to motivate myself. It didn't make sense. My parents kept on asking me, like, you're a pharmacist, why are you doing this? Like, you saying how many years you spent in school should just go to waste. And I was like, I want to do this. I feel like this is the future. So, yeah, as long as they believed that I was fine and I knew the consequence of my actions, so why not? They were there to support me. I didn't have anyone discouraging me. So, yeah, I pulled through.
Great. Honestly, the fact that you had to sleep for some meetings That means you were exhausted. That's
I,
the only way you can explain that, because you know how you would be so ginger to actually stay on a Google, Zoom meeting, and when you are there and okay, your body is telling you you cannot continue and you just
it's so
break down.
funny.
Please.
I don't I tell these stories. People don't even know this. Like there are times where, okay, in order to be able to stay consistent, I had friends who like had this incubation hub, these tech hubs, tech hubs in Nigeria. So they had like tech hubs they were managing. I would leave my house and go to a tech hub and sleep in a tech hub because of access to Wi-Fi, and so my friends are
Like,
managing it. So I would legitimately sleep on the decks in the tech hub just to cover what I because I was working throughout the day and probably sometimes slept in the hospital. So from there, I would just pack my bags and baggages and all of that. I was always moving around, and it wasn't a fun experience. So some of the sacrifices we had to make because I just really wanted to know this thing. And yeah, that was that was
you
my
know
beginning
how
story.
you know you know how they say good things don't come easy. So if you are actually watching and you're currently at this point, I need you to give us tons of virtual claps. I don't mean if you are driving, you should leave the steering wheel. Just stay right there and probably just drop fire emojis or something to show that you're excited. So you see that usually you have to make sacrifices and nothing good comes easy. Absolutely nothing good comes easy. Time, dedication, motivation. You see, doctor's motivation is money. Is your motivation money? Would you like to make more money? When you are tired, would you go and look back at, this is how much I'll be getting paid. Are you sure I want to stop this? So I think that's a whole lot of push. And if that was able to motivate you, somebody out there that's currently listening to this podcast should make sure that you take a tip from there. And if you know that nothing else is motivating you, then the money that you get to be paid while you actually get that role should push you to actually do more. So that's actually beautiful and awesome. I'd like to now ask, how do you think your unique background in pharmacy, now you had to take on calls, do your internship, go to the hospital, and always be with patients? How do you think all this influences your approach to problem solving and whatever analysis you currently do in your current role? How do you think it influences that?
Okay. Well, to be frank, if I look at how pharmacy and what I did in the hospital then influenced my current role, I wouldn't exactly say it was more a direct influence in a sense because healthcare is one, tech is one. They're not exactly relatable. And I know at the time I had people encourage me saying, we want to try and find the middle ground. That's one good advice, and I was appreciative for the people that gave me that advice. But heck, I didn't even want to work in the same domain. I'm coming from healthcare. I don't want to go do healthcare again in tech. It was fun but boring to me. I wanted to go full on into the industry. I want to work anywhere, everywhere. Like just give me, I would work. So, if anything, I would say how it influenced was more or less um, a negative positive reinforcement in a sense. I I enjoyed talking with patients. As a doctor, I enjoyed being empathetic with my patients. But then again, also when I think about the long term, I didn't actually see for me a long term in pharmacy anymore. I wasn't seeing it. Everything I thought, sleep, dream has been data engineering. I just wanted to see how instead I would when I walk into the hospital, I'll be seeing how do I become a consultant as a data engineer? How do I become a 5x, a 10x data engineer? So that was the motivation. Where every time I wasn't exactly hating what I was doing, but I was exactly just thinking of what I wanted to be doing. And hence when I came out, when I left there was that energy. I've burnt 8 hours in the day working as a pharmacist. These are 8 hours I should push into my field, into data engineering, and that motivation to do better came up. And yeah, so for me it was more or less a negative positive reinforcement for me. And that was the stimulus and the motivation I need to become. Then I used to tell my mentor, who was one of my facilitators, partially who facilitated my final presentation at Explore AI for my internship. I used to tell him that I've been a pharmacist pretty much for the past 6, 7 years of my life. I could listen to a patient and in a glance see the solution in terms of the drug treatment or where a problem came up. But for data engineering, I can't see it yet. And I want to be that good that I can see the problem and see the solution. And he always encouraging that it's just to continue working on yourself. You know what to do. So hence I realized that, like I said, negative positive reinforcement, and you realize that a lot of work needs to be done to get myself to the point where a problem is being said and I can already start seeing the solution.
That's beautiful because now you mentioned that you had a guide, and that guide ensured that you were working on the correct track. This is where mentorship comes in because in the whole learning process, you need somebody to shaping your steps, especially if you are taking baby steps, because you the tech space is very diverse, it's very broad. So with a mentor, you can now know the most important things to do and which of them you should start with first. That is why it was easy for you to realize that, okay, I want to be a consultant in data engineering, just like you can be a consultant in the medical field. I want to see data engineering things and be able to discern, okay, this is where I need to make a solution to this at an instant glance. So that drove you. Now, if you didn't have a good support system, do you think it would have been easy to navigate this? What do you think?
Honestly, I think going through any journey in life alone is can be tough if you don't have a support system. And I think in every
100%.
field of anything I've done, I've always had a mentor, someone to look up to. Was it when I was learning digital marketing, or when I was when I was a of course, as a pharmacist, I have a lot, an endless list of mentors and people I look
Absolutely.
up to.
Mhm, mhm,
Just there
mhm.
was a time where I actually wanted to become an oncology pharmacist. And yeah, even in my internship, I worked in the oncology unit for a while, made cancer drugs for patients on cancer. I did that for a long time. I did that enough to know that okay, this is probably what I don't want. This is probably what I think I don't want to be doing again for the rest of my life. But yeah, there was that time I did it enough to know. So I've always had mentors, and in data engineering as well. If anything, I think my mentor pushed me not by teaching me because he was my facilitator at the time, but when I left the academy, when I graduated from the academy, he was no longer my facilitator. So he didn't exactly teach me. He only gave me pointers of what he feels I should be doing and what I should, and all of those things were able to. I took them to heart, and well, rest is history as it is. So I think it's going to be impossible for anyone going through a journey to not have mentors. Sometimes some mentors you don't necessarily even need to know that one on one. And listen to what they say, how they live their life, and sometimes that can be the guide, the instruments you need to get to where you're going to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But I guess journey becomes easier when you're not alone.
That's the thing. Community is really important. And I picked something else from what you mentioned. You mentioned that now you had a good mentor system. However, you have to push yourself too. They can't just always push you all the time. It's just like saying you have to take a horse to the river, but you cannot force it to drink water. So that means your mentors are there to guide you, but you have to still go out of your way and take out time to learn these things by yourself. You're going to meet a mentor. This
True,
is what I need to do, and you haven't done any research about it. It seems like you're a very unserious person. But if you have done a research, you can
true,
come and say, okay, I did a couple of researches. I do not understand this. I don't understand this. And the person looks at you and say, you're a very serious person. So just as much as you need a good community to actually push yourself out there, you also have to be ready to take the next move. That next
true.
step is going to take you from whatever comfort zone you are currently at to the next point. Yes. So I think I picked that up. And if you're listening, make sure you're writing that down. That's a very important point. So now we already know that you were able to do this transitioning thing, and you are a very busy person. I have taken note of that. However, would like to know, because of your kind of schedule, can you walk us through your typical day? Because now you're working as a project data engineer here, as a data engineer. So what does your typical day look like? You work 8 to 8, 12. Do you sleep? So what does
Okay, so let me tell you. Okay, so the way my calendar works, I work my official hours are Tuesdays to Sundays. Um, that is as a data engineer because I also have businesses I manage, so that I do that on the side. So in actuality, I work 24/7, 24. And okay, how my day typically starts up. I get up in the morning, I hit the gym for a couple of hours, maybe an hour or two. I get back. I because I work with the Europe. My current technically I work with the Europe time zone, so work officially begins by 3. So before then, I reply emails, check on my emails, both company wise and as well as my own company. Um, then I also sometimes I have meetings. Many times I have meetings lined up throughout the day. So once I clear off all the meetings, then I prepare materials for students. I help students prep for interviews. I review and communicate with the associates under me because I currently work as data engineering lead. So pretty much everything about the data engineering department passed through me, and I do have other facilitators that work through me. So I have to communicate with them to find out how things are going, ensure things are in order. I have an associate, junior associate that works directly with me. So also released directly with me. So I have to communicate with him. So then privately, I also have clients that I manage. So they also communicate with me. So before you know it, my day has started up like I'm up 6 o'clock in the morning. Uh, Sometimes I can be up till like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes two. There are days sometimes I'm up to like 4 o'clock in the morning. Then go back to bed, have barely a few hours. It's tough. That's why I don't joke with Sundays. With my Monday rest, I don't joke with. I don't even negotiate. And my days off, I don't negotiate with it. Then I try to also get vacation because come on, I'm a family man, so I have to spend time with family. So I go on vacations, sometimes travel, sometimes lodge. So just try to rest and live good. Yeah,
you're doing more of diversifying. You're just balancing work, family, and your own time. That's cool. I'm happy you have a schedule for resting because a lot of professionals tend to work so much they don't remember to rest. So yes, there is work time and there's rest time, right?
true.
That's great. That's great. That's great. That's awesome. So your typical day is really busy. I mean, from emails down to reaching out to your students. Now you're even accountable for those that are
I
currently
think my
in
day
your
has
journey
always been
because
busy. I think
uh-huh.
my day has.
Oh, so
It was so crazy that there was a time where
okay.
even as a student, because as a student, I only had one obligation and one obligation. From the first, my goal has been to leave with the first class. So, and that was a deal I made with myself from day one. My parents and my friends and my family, everyone knew that. So, and I think when they know that, it's easy because they let you be you. And sometimes when I get out of that space, it's easy for everyone to come back. And so my parents understood that. My parents knew that there are certain times of the day everyone who knows me knows there's certain time of the day you can't call me. You're not gonna get me. I'll be studying or I'll be busy, I'll be working. Cannot reach me. So everyone knows that okay, if you want to get him, there are times of the day to get him. Like very early in the morning. Most people know that if you call me early in the morning, I most likely will see the call because I'm awake. Or when I'm getting out of the library. So it's crazy. So I look at it now, different timeline, different activities, but in terms of busy, it's always been a very crowded schedule.
That's typically demanding, but because you have led that life since school, I think that's why you're able to still push through even as a working class person. That's fantastic. That's awesome. So now there are a ton of professionals ranging from the health line, ranging from law, ranging from any other professions that have been thinking about making a similar career transition into tech, especially those coming from non-technical backgrounds. So non-technical backgrounds like yours or like other non-technical backgrounds. So what is your current advice for them?
Well, I would say when you have a goal in mind, you you go after it without looking back. If it's something you truly yearn for, something you truly desire, you go to the ends of the earth to get it. When you have a goal in mind, like nothing will matter. Not sleep, not food, not distractions. People tell me they get distracted. You long for something. Like for example, if they told you if you drink this stuff, it will make you live 100 years. You know, or someone who is dying tomorrow, I say, okay, take this pill and you would, or walk, just climb a staircase and you would get to live for 10 more years, 5, 15 more years. Come on, you see, people do extreme things when there's that instinct to survive. So when you want something and you really desire something, you go to the ends of the earth to get it. So with that in mind, I have this mindset that nothing is impossible for anyone to get. The way I am right now, if I said I want to study law, I'll do it. It's not impossible. Heck, I have professionals in my field who are lawyers, who are baristas. Actually, they studied pharmacy and became baristas. I have some who are even professors. Like when you want something, you go to the ends of the earth. So the only limits any individual faces are the limits and restrictions you place on yourself. When I started this, it was never at all a doubt that I could not do it. I was only probably burdened by the amount of work it has to put. And I tell this story. I rarely ever say this, but I tell it when many a times when I face challenge like that, where I have to do something I've never done before. I try to do something very unconventional. For example, when I went into digital marketing, I didn't have experience. Most people didn't want to employ me because I didn't have experience. What I did, I I went on a promo and I said I would market for 100 different companies free. Who does that unless an insane person? And I did. And that's how I
You
gained
do.
100 different experience that when I walk into anywhere and I talk about marketing from a perspective, you're always like, how long? I looked young and I was probably a very young dude then and skinny and all. And I talk about, I pour down things about how I could market your business. I'm like, when did you get the experience from? Right? Got it from doing 3Ds for 100 different business. When I wanted to get first class in pharmacy, what did I do? I figured out ways to maximize my day as well as much as try and maximize my night and still achieve about 6 hours of sleep. Yeah, side effects. I had to pay some prices. I didn't really have, like you say, much of a social life. I didn't go to parties. There's some
Yeah,
social
I
events
asked
that
that
happened.
question.
There's some social activity, but I had friends, and I never joked with my
Mm-hmm.
friends. Anytime we are having like a friend outing, get together, I was always there. I'm a Lagosian. I party like a Lagosian, so but that was like very few. Probably once or few times in a year. Like over that time, I was working extremely hard. Similar thing with data engineering. What me and my friend, I have a friend. He's a data scientist. We did boot camps together. Like we'll lock ourselves, we'll buy food, buy everything, lock ourselves in the house. He'll be in his room, I'll be in the sitting room. we would be consuming projects, reading like every tech stack. We would just come, tick the box. Have you learned this? Tick the box, tick the box. And that was how I spent like 3 months doing so many projects in data engineering that when I walk into any place and I talk about any tech stack, it seems like I've been doing it for years, but it was a lot. Sometimes I worked so hard that there was a day I legitimately was shedding tears. Like I didn't know why I was trying. I was too tired. I'd worked so hard. In reality, the point is when you want something, you go out of your way to get it. No matter, you go out of your way to get it.
Some That's some good exposure. I think it now connects to the fact that hard work pays, because now you have to trade some things for some things. Honestly, yes, nothing, you can't always get everything 100% correct. However, you got results. I mean, that's the point. So any non-tech professional currently taking a good look at this YouTube podcast, remember you have to go all out for whatever it is you intend to actually get. As long as you put in the efforts, I assure you 100% you will get results. Now, you see that he had to take some things for just 3 months. He did not do it in 1 week. You know how discipline comes and inconsistency comes, and you start, you stop, and you're like, I can't get results. It's not working. How long have you tried? 3 days. You don't get results in that short time. You have to go all out for months, 3 months, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, then you start seeing results. And you have to take initiative. I think that's what him and his friend were able to do. They had to go out of their comfort zone because you cannot sacrifice staying in one place for hours and making sure you execute different projects just to make sure that you are able to get a lot of experiences, and you now expect not to get results. Absolutely, you would definitely see results. So anybody that is scared of transitioning into tech can actually see that even from a non-technical background, you can actually get started in tech. It feels so too good to be true, but this is a good example of somebody that firsthand has experienced it and he's doing so well in tech profession. So now you already did your transitioning, and that means that you came into a new space. You are very vast in pharmacy because you stayed there for 6 years or more. So that means you're always getting updates as regard things, well, that has to do with health. Now this is tech. How do you stay updated with the latest trends, the technologies in the field of data engineering? I mean, now you mentioned that you tutor people, so that means people depend on you, the information you have, to push whatever it is they are going to do. So how are you able to stay apart with the current trends in tech so that you can also use it for yourself and use it too for those that you work with?
Okay. So for me, one of the ways I stay ahead in terms of information is by being active. Actually, I do quite a lot of things. I write articles, so I have to read. I have an active Medium blog where I post solely data engineering content. So it's available on my bio, Medium. I have a social media and Instagram page where I talk about, on my Instagram page, I write about data engineering related content. I have a YouTube channel that I recently launched. That was roughly barely a month. It's not been up to a month, a couple of weeks ago, where I pretty much write and post data engineering related content. I'm always writing, talking, sleeping, drinking, eating data engineering. Then I follow up active podcasts related to what is happening among professionals like myself across the field of data engineering. All to stay abreast, always researching new things, always researching new ways to improve my existing knowledge on what I know. It's all this motivation that even led for me starting up a YouTube channel, because one thing I've realized with time is that when you teach something, you perfect it. And many a times, that's one of the reasons I even went into teaching in the first place. When I wanted to learn digital marketing, I taught digital marketing. There was a time I learned forex trading. I actually taught forex trading to master it. And I went into data engineering. Of course, I realized, oh, what was the fastest way to learn this thing and master it by teaching it. And and into edutech. So yeah, it's that's pretty much it. That's how I stay ahead of the curve and stay abreast. Then I also have a research team. I say team because it's just a team of two persons actually, me and an assistant who um, work together in coming up with contents for my different channels. And it forces me to research to write very interesting articles. Yeah, thank you.
Highlights, you never stop learning. I think that's what I picked from there. You're always on the move. So the fact that you're able to, I think, I think you still have this drive that you want to be this consultant in data engineering. So once you just see a problem, you have a solution to it, something of that nature. And you can always learn. That's why a lot of people keep learning, relearning, unlearning, and I'm pretty sure that's why you have a plethora of things that make sure that you are always on top of the game. That's beautiful. I should find a way to put more people to your team so
I
that
think
before you know it.
in one word, the goal is to become a 10x professional. And a 10x professional is
Right?
one who can come up to with problems and they can put for solutions. So if you want to keep being the person, if you want to keep being whether you're a data scientist, data engineer, web developer, app developer, cybersecurity analyst, data analyst, HR analyst, whatever, what makes you indispensable is the fact that you can solve people's problem. And the moment you stop being able to solve people's problem, you become irrelevant. So to stay relevant, you have to be ahead of the curve. And when you have that as a
I
mindset that remains with you, keep working.
That's the honest truth. And the truth is, when people know that you are ahead, they would always want to come back and reach out to you and ask you questions that make them feel updated too. But when they know that you are outdated, everybody runs away. Everybody's always wanting to stay on top. So if you have good value to offer, you'd see them running all over you. So I think that's a thing to make sure you are always learning. That's beautiful. So you have a plethora of experiences being a data engineer. So I'd like you to share a particular rewarding or memorable experience while you have created or that you've experienced in the data engineering space or in tech space in general.
I think for me, one of the most rewarding experience I have encountered being in the data engineering space was when I witnessed the presentation for a cohort I groomed from day one. I legitimately groomed them from day one. 100 data engineering class. And now they were graduating into internship and I got to see them present and I was like, wow. So this is how it feels like to cultivate people talents. Yeah, I've seen this happen a lot of times in digital marketing. In but for me, data engineering is like there are a few things. There are only a few things in my life that I've learned that they were like I could say they were the hardest things in my life to learn. One of the hardest things in my life I have ever done was pharmacy. I kid you not, I don't joke. Pharmacy is it remains the hardest, and that's why I love it so much. It is the hardest thing in my life I ever did. Then after pharmacy, it probably will be learning forex trading. But after that, it will probably be data engineering. So data engineering forms as one of the core thing I learned that whoa, like it is rough and having to grown people into this field I've come to love so much that every moment of my waking up is what I think about, and I see people doing exceedingly well in it. I couldn't even describe the emotion. So that's probably one of the most rewarding feeling, probably even more rewarding than all the many infrastructures I've set up or deployed. Yeah.
Well, that's a wow moment. I mean, you just be awestruck and you're like, oh my god, I did that. Awesome, awesome. Please, next time you are going to be hosting an event like that, make sure I get an invitation, okay?
Awesome. I will definitely do that.
All right, okay, all right, works fine. So now we have talked about a couple of things, and I'd like to know your opinion. What are some misconceptions people might have about transitioning from a medical profession to a tech role? Misconceptions. Then, how do you think you can approach them or address them? Because you have been there and you have first-hand knowledge about these misconceptions and the truth about them. So how do you think you can address them?
Okay, I think the first misconception is the fact that your transition it has to be something related to healthcare too. There's no. I feel like everyone's path is different. There's no laid down rule to anyone's story. If you choose to transition into tech, it doesn't necessarily have to be a field of tech that is also related to healthcare. It could be any other thing. At the end of the day, I believe the lines eventually do meet. Eventually, one way or the other. And even if they never meet, you're on a different trajectory. So that is one misconception I probably want to tell. Whether you're coming from any field at all, law, something, anywhere, and you're transitioning tech, the lines would eventually meet someday. And even if they don't meet, your trajectory is different. Step out of one lane into a different lane, follow it and see where it takes you. So that's number one. Number two, it's impossible. I think I've already established nothing is impossible. The only limits you really face are the limits you put for yourself. Nothing is impossible. Like till tomorrow, I still ask myself, where is my limit? If anything, I know probably my body does have limits because you're human. You probably will break down if you push yourself so hard. But in terms of what you can do, they said the only room that is never full is the room of self improvement. It means you can do anything you set your mind to. So the fact that people say it's impossible, I can't do this, my mind is not built for it, I don't think I can learn this. Heck, I have people coming into data engineering that haven't coded a day in their life. They were scared and terrified about writing codes, and today they are data engineers. At the end of the day, it's what you set on yourself. If people are doing it, there's no reason why you cannot do it. So yeah, the thing of impossible, that it's a very horrible misconception. Um, I think another popular misconception is the fact that um, I think for now those are like the two major ones. If I think of any other one, I will let you.
So I would also want to know now that you have to do data engineering most of the time. Do you still do anything related to your medical profession, or you have left that out of the
For now,
picture?
for now, I do not actively practice. I do not actively practice
Okay,
pharmacy. I still have
okay,
patients, like returning patients that still call me for consultation once, which we do, and of course I can assist family, but paid practice, no, I do not. Full on into tech.
beautiful. He's 100% into the tech space. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right. So, are there any specific resources you would recommend for somebody that is in a medical background and he's interested in pursuing a career in tech? Let's say data engineering, for example, that you'd recommend that they should have good knowledge of or try to actually learn and learn very well.
If there is any skill that I feel like data engineers should pick up in order to learn. Sorry, could you like go over the question again? I didn't quite catch it.
Okay, okay. Are there specific tools or resources that you would recommend for somebody in the medical profession that wants to transition into the tech profession, that's data engineering, as a case study or as an example, that you recommend so
Well,
that they should learn very well so that they can transition into the.
well, if it's data engineering, Python, SQL is like the foundation, fundamentals. You need to have learned that. They need to be strong, like extremely strong. You need to learn DSA, data structure algorithms. Very important to give you an idea of how to come up with algorithms for coding. And if you want to go deeper into data engineering, if you've not decided at this juncture you want to go deeper into data engineering as a full-on profession, then you would need to learn a bit about cloud computing. When I started out, I learned AWS, but now I know all three. I know how to use any of the all three popular cloud platforms: AWS, Azure, GCP. So, part of making yourself indispensable. Learn big data processing tools like Apache Spark, PySpark. Learn about NoSQL database tools like DynamoDB, MongoDB, Cassandra DB. Learn about data warehouse processing tools. You learn the ones on the cloud like Redshift, Synapse Analytics, and as Joe Synapse Analytics, Google BigQuery, or you can learn about proprietary ones like Snowflake, learn message brokers like Kafka, tools like Airflow, and learn about Linux scripting. There's a lot to learn, as you can see. So you just have to check boxes, and just at least all these
There's
ones I've
ton of
mentioned,
this.
you learn
There's ton of.
like when you learn all these ones, I think it's like pretty much good. You're pretty much good to go.
100%. That's great. So, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? This is 2024. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's your plan? Do you have a big picture in mind that you'd like to follow? What's your path going to be like?
So in the next 5 years, well, I don't know how 5 years from now is going to look like, but if I could paint a picture as an artist would, I probably want to be in a much senior role. Um, Maybe may have shifted out of edutech, full on into industry, closer to my goal of working as a senior data engineering consultant. More or less achieving the 10x, leaving the 10x data engineering team dream. Of course, this will take a lot of time, a lot of work, maybe much more work that I've done together so far. But yeah, that's probably what I see 10 years, 5 years from now.
So you have me here to hold you by your words, and I'll come back and check on you in 5 years to make sure that you are a consultant in data engineering. I would actually be rooting out for you from up here, so you have absolutely nothing to fear. Two more questions till the end of this exciting session. One, looking back to when you started, is there anything you would have done differently from your transitioning from medicine to data engineering, or do you regret it? Let's hear it.
At all, I do not regret any decision. Well, I don't know. Maybe because of my kind of mindsets, I do not dwell on failings, challenges.
Okay.
First of all, I've learned recently to reform my mindset in understanding that failures does not really exist. If you fail at something today, the only way it's really a failure is if you stay there and keep wallowing and feeling sorry for yourself. But when you get up, dust yourself, and get back on doing, you realize that you get the shots later on. So does failure at this point, does failure really exist? Maybe it's a fun argument to think about. So yeah, I've made bad decisions in my journey to this point. Decisions that sent me back. But then again, do I? If I had to leave it all again, do I regret it? No, I do not. Actually, I think making the choice to study data engineering was one of the best decisions I could have made at the time I made it, and awesome. Shocking, I actually started learning coding Python way like 2 3 years before, or 2 3 years before I actually did go into academy. I could have probably, if I'd taken it up then, I probably would have achieved my goal a long time ago. So like I said, you make some mistakes, and but then again, I don't regret it for a second. With learning data engineering time I did was like one of the best things that could happen to my life. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So he doesn't regret it. We assure you that when you start learning data engineering, you won't regret it either. So one more thing. I know there's somebody listening that wants to know what advice you want to give to the person. The person has watched this video up until this point and the person still has fears. What advice would you give to that person?
Yeah. So I would say there's so much in this world, in the field of tech. If you are still at the edge of your seat thinking of jumping in, like, just take the leap of faith. Just take the leap of faith. This, you wouldn't really know how it feels until you actually do it. You can read all the books about it, you can watch all the videos about people doing it. You wouldn't know what it is until you actually do it. If your mindset is set on doing anything, just do it. What's the worst that could happen? You fail at it. Okay, fail. Sure. Everyone, no one is in the game of life. No one really cares. So, if you have this mindset, if there's anything that you want to do it. The worst that could happen is you fail. And you fail, you've learned something new. Worst case scenario. So that's probably my advice. Like, failure doesn't exist.
That's 100% awesome. I mean, anybody listening to this right now and gets to actually let what you just said sink in, we'll get started right away. And the good part about this podcast is that Tenatics is here to help you get started. We have a live masterclass happening this weekend. And if you want to start your career in tech, please register with the link in this bio and make sure that you attend the next free masterclass. It's going to actually spoil you to actually be better. You need a community that is dedicated to transforming your career aspirations into reality. So this EduTech brand will guide you step by step, and you might, who knows, you might be the next Dr. Ehi. So yeah, that's actually all from my end. It was a beautiful field session, and I am very excited that everybody that listened got a thing or two from the conversation we had with the tech doctor. I think we should start calling you the tech doctor. All right, that's beautiful. So if you haven't done the subscribing thing yet, make sure you hit on the subscribe button. You also drop a comment in the comment section down below. If you have any questions at all, I'll be going through the comments to actually respond to your questions individually. So if you have any questions, do that. Turn on post notification bell so that you'll be the first person to actually see the video once it drops. And make sure you join us for the next time we're going to be having a podcast. Until then, see you. So, any last words, Dr. Tech or Tech Doctor?
Well, I would say that the world is wide. Maybe it's tech, maybe it's not tech. When you have a mindset that you want to do something, go at it. Go at it. And if it turns out to be tech, the career will open up in ways that you cannot imagine. So I think the tech career has been there for a while, but it's really, there's still so much that has not been harnessed. So if you what the hunger, the desire is in tech, it's in data engineering, it's in AI, it's in data science, cyber security, well, you name it, go in. go in and unleash and go and do exceedingly, go above and beyond. Essentially,
Take
that's
the
my
leap of
advice.
faith. That's good. That's good.
Exactly, the
Thank
leap
you
of
so,
faith.
so much. Take the leap of faith. All right, guys. See you on our next episode. Until then.
Right, see you guys.